Thank you for joining us on Diplomatic Channel. I want to begin, with what has already happened. It's been 1 week since Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali released a joint communique announcing their withdrawal from ECOWAS. Now, before the announcement of the withdrawal, what were, the gains that these countries made from ECOWAS while they were still members before announcing the withdrawal?
Okay, thank you. You know, when you want to look at the gains are enormous for everyone who is part of the union. Both those who even Mauritius that left at a certain time. So if you look at 1975 when ECOWAS was formed, it was formed as an economic commission, a regional economic commission. From then, it transcended into other areas, political, security, and all that, just trying to partner itself after the European Union. Now, if you look at gains, the gains included issues of trade, issues of security. So the gains are enormous. It might be, if we start trying to list a lot of them, there's so much. However, it is really important to understand that all the countries did not gain the same way. Some may have gained more than the other, either because of either their strategic position or because of issues of population, or their economy was growing at a different rate at the period of the formation of ECOWAS. For the three countries we are looking at, like Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, if you look at their gains, the other part of the countries, like Togo, Ghana, Nigeria, who are the lower part of the structure, offered them opportunity for them to use their seaport because they're kind of landlocked. So these are part of the gains. These are part of the economic gains of being part of that union. And then for trade and other things, they equally afforded them such opportunities. So the gains are there. So one cannot deny that.
What kind of options are open to them now that they're pulling out of ECOWAS? Where could they look to for trade and for other diplomatic relations?
So for me, this is where when I reflect over the issue, I felt, was it that the other members of the union did not smell the coffee, especially when last year, around September, they came up with alliance of Sahel states, where they talked about economic, political, security cooperation amongst the three of them. I think for me, that was the signal. That was the signal that the other union could have come in to say, no, we think this, we don't understand what this separate arrangement is all about. So if you look at it, you find out that if they currently are under suspension and they're able to survive, getting some of their a kind of economic security arrangement with Russia and China, and where the ECOWAS or the other part of the other members of the union are no longer cooperating with them, and they're able to have survived over this period, then I think to them they will be thinking, okay, so if we can survive without them, that means we can actually survive. So that's why, if you look at it, there was a period, a lot of people were saying there was need to review the sanction, look at the sanction with a human face and see if there are other diplomatic route to resolving the issue. So if they had survived over this period out of the union, then they might be thinking we could as well leave the union.
Do you think the ECOWAS sanctions on Burkina Faso, on Mali and Niger were too much for them to handle?
Yes, I felt the sanctions were too much. I felt we did not take into cognizance the mood of those nations. We did not understand. There were some internal dynamics in those countries that we were only looking at what the protocol said without looking at if there were other routes or other means of trying to resolve the issue. For instance, if you look at Niger, the issue was we understood the issue of the military takeover, but there were other internal contradictions, which I think is very important that ECOWAS start looking at those internal contradictions and issues. In Niger, we found out that even though Mohamed Bosso was removed, the people did not take to the street against the military intervention, meaning that something was fundamentally wrong. Issues of good governance and other dynamics that shaped the issues were not, well looked at. Now we are seeing a situation in Senegal where where the Senegalese president has suspended an election that should take place in February. If there is a reprisal or a military coup in Senegal tomorrow, what we won't be saying? I think there is need. This is not even about the ECOWAS as itself. The heads of state should look themselves in the mirror and tell themselves the truth. They are the ones, fueling most of these situations we are witnessing, where people are changing constitution, changing issues, and other presidents are not telling themselves the truth and say, why are you changing the constitutions of your country to remain in power? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? These are some of the things that are very critical. So to them, I felt this was harsh. We didn't look at it, outside the protocol to find a way of resolving them.
Yeah, and it seemed like, these countries were justified in what they said about ECOWAS, that it did not care about their economic state, did not care about the security situation, that ECOWAS went ahead and announced these sanctions, isolating them from the rest of the economic bloc, and therefore they have learned to, live without ECOWAS. But you mentioned Senegal, and that's a pretty interesting situation that you have mentioned because the president, as you rightly mentioned, has postponed the elections indefinitely. Now, ECOWAS has called for on the authorities of Senegal to expedite the various processes in order for a new date to be set. What should ECOWAS do in this regard, apart from releasing a statement like this and calling on the government to intervene? If it has learned anything from the situation in Burkina Faso, in Mali, and in Niger, what should ECOWAS' line of action be in Senegal?
The protocols setting out ECOWAS is even where we need to start reviewing a lot of things. The problem is not with ECOWAS as an institution. The problem is not with ECOWAS as an institution. The problem is with the member states, the heads of states of these countries. This is where the problem is from. So my question might be, what's the actual difference between what President Sake of Senegal has done with what, what's the difference between that and what took place in Mali, in Burkina Faso, and in Niger? They're just like 6 and they have a dozen. They're the same. So that's where we need to start. There are some protocols, ECOWAS protocols, that need to be changed. What the president of Senegal is doing is actually nothing but a civilian coup. Nothing more than that. He has even tried before to change the constitution and he failed. Now, few months or few days to an election, he suspends it. So they are just the same thing. So apart from the fact that ECOWAS might call on him, I think it's now left for other heads of state, especially the president of Nigeria, who is the president of ECOWAS or chairman of ECOWAS, to all of them to prevail on him to allow the election to hold. Otherwise, we are dealing with issue where civilians are pushing the military back into power.
But so I was saying that it appears to me that, and I think that some people would agree, that ECOWAS is falling apart. I mean, the fact that these three countries have withdrawn It just shows you how deep the fault in ECOWAS goes. That countries are losing their faith in the regional power and even losing faith in Africa, where you find many governments just, doing as they want to, interpreting democracy as they would like, and not really understanding, what system of governance really works for them. And then the regional and continental bodies not really knowing how to call countries to order, having no serious powers when it comes to enforcing good governance in those countries.
Yes, I think I understand what you want to, what you're trying to infer here. Incidentally, what we are seeing here is each time you have unions like this, there's always a hegemon. The hegemon that tries to guide everyone and pull everyone along. So in West Africa, Nigeria is the hegemon. But of course, you could see that we are almost like a tiger with a broken leg. So it cannot even guide its territory. So because of the way Nigeria is struggling with its own internal contradictions and issues, security issues, economic issues, I really don't want to say political issues, but we can understand what's happening in the country. So with that, who is Nigeria now to tell others what to do? Because even within you, you cannot even show that strength that you're powerful. So, and again, if I look at the issue of Senegal, the 4 or the 5 countries that are the big countries that are the ones that have been guiding, that have been showing the way, in the region has been Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, and then Cote d'Ivoire. So with what is happening now, Senegal is now beginning not to go the other way. So, it falls back now on Nigeria and Ghana especially. Cote d'Ivoire, we saw what happened last time. So mostly the bulk now rests on Nigeria and Ghana. Probably Cote d'Ivoire to start putting the commission and the region back, into what it should be. Nigeria has an issue already, but I believe that if President Tinubu, who is the current president, can do something, get Nigerian experts, get West African experts to think through how to start redesigning most of the protocols and every other thing that could start galvanizing the region together. And I think it might be another way of trying to put ECOWAS, into front light, and so that we can start getting the ECOWAS that we deserve.
I guess that's where we'll leave it, Dr. Nwokolo. Thank you again for speaking with us on Diplomatic Channel. And this is where we end the program this week. Thank you for watching. As always, I look forward to reading your comments or questions. You can send them using any of the social media handles showing on your screen. I'm Amarachi Obani. I'll see you next time.